Hi, good afternoon and welcome. I am so delighted to be here today with you at the Transitions Academy. It's very inspiring to gather with nurturing, intelligent educators who are trying to change the world for students one dream at a time. It's relatively easy these days to become overwhelmed with all of the information available out there, but I'm honored to be here where we focus on how to improve the lives of everyday Illinoisans using the tool of education. Remember, a long time ago, back when we used to get the TV guide, there was an article every year called "The Best Shows You're Not Watching." If you're part of an ICAPS program and you're not thinking about using iPathways, I'm talking to you. ICAPS, defined by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, is a quality instructional framework in Illinois for the implementation of integrated education and training programs. It provides an accelerated pathway to an industry-recognized credential through training partnerships. One of them is us, and is designed to serve eligible adult education students, including English language learners, while they're earning their high school diploma and/or improving their English language skills. An IET program must meet the definition and requirements set forth in WIOA and the final regulations as established by the Department of Education on August 19th, 2016 in the Federal Register. IET is a service approach which provides adult education and literacy activities concurrently and contextually with workforce prep and workforce training for a specific occupation or occupational cluster for the purpose of educational and career advancement. So IET programs must include the following three components: adult education and literacy activities, workforce preparation activities, and workforce training. In addition, as part of a career pathway, the design of an IET program should support the local and state workforce development board, as required under WIOA, our God of all. Here in Illinois, we, of course, had to do a rebrand, so we call it ICAPS, which stands for Integrated Career and Academic Preparation System. It provides an accelerated pathway to that industry-recognized credential. ICAPS is essential for creating that educated workforce we all work toward every day, and it can provide a bridge between adult learners and community workforce development programs. Basically, ICAPS takes what we know about adult learners, that they need contextual relevance in order to thrive, and turns it into a program that connects learning to achievement in a given industry. 3 is an easy number to remember. There are 3 ways iPathways make sense for your ICAPS program. Number 1, every ICAPS program must include an official adult education component, and iPathways clearly offers this. 2, ICAPS programs must also include rigorous workforce preparation material. Again, iPathways helps fill that prescription, and I'll go into that in a bit. ICAPS programs must also finally offer a distance learning component that will help participants learn to navigate in the digital now. And of course, iPathways pairs with this perfectly. With one curriculum, ours, I feel like I'm doing an infomercial, you can hit all of the essentials for your ICAPS student. So let's dig into this a little more. As you're all in the field of education, it'll be of particular interest to you that iPathways is aligned with state standards. As you can see here on the slide, at the beginning of each module is an outline of the lessons included, as well as the standards that match that lesson. This can help with your planning, since you'll know your students and you'll be familiar with which concepts have proven to be challenging for them. We've also recently aligned to the CASAS and TABE standards, and these alignments will be available in the immediate future. We've got them all done. Our programmers are holding up the show because they're trying to figure out where it would look the prettiest, but they're done and they're ready for you. This is one of many reasons why iPathways is the ICCB recommended curriculum. As a teacher myself, I can tell you my initial reaction to recommended curriculum is resistance. I don't like to be told what to do in my little kingdom or queendom, as it were. Your classroom is your fiefdom, and you should be in charge of everything that happens there. I get it. We all get that at iPathways. But you can use any or all of the lessons to supplement your own lesson plans. And this way, you exercise your own creativity in your classroom design, but can also be assured that you're hitting all of the essential points as you shepherd your students to their eventual academic success. Having iPathways available at all times of the day also assists in one of the key components of building confident learners: repetition. Repetition of the key concepts, repetition of all of the learning content. Maybe you have a lesson on, say, subject-verb agreement that is a raging success that you designed, and you don't want to sacrifice that. Amen. I'm all about that. I've spent some time designing classes in the past, but bring it. You can add that with our content, giving your learners additional practice. And in a little bit, I'm also going to talk about how we can supplement what you're doing with worksheets and practice exercises, particularly like in math and language arts. There's no getting around it. Technology is with us for good. I'm thrilled because it means I finally have an organizing tool for the scrambled eggs that are my brain. However, technology also ushers in its own host of challenges. This is why we offer our technology help desk, which is available 7 days a week via email or telephone. Users have login issues? Call the number. Features unavailable because their browser's out of date? Our support team, and they are amazing, can help you figure out our learners can help our learners figure out how to update their browser or choose a different browser, one that's more compatible, and they will get them back on track very quickly, usually within the matter of just a couple minutes. And using a computer can be intimidating for many of our adult education students, so we try to provide that technology safety net. It's easier to take the kind of intellectual risks that we want our students to take when they know that they're not going to be doing it in a vacuum. You provide the learning safety net, and we provide the tech safety net. Our support team keeps track of all the logins, progress, and typically get learners up and running quickly. Behind the scenes, we keep track of all calls with tickets. If larger issues arise or if there seems to be a pattern of problems, our entire team coalesces around it to find a solution as quickly as possible, sometimes even going in and rewriting the program so they can't get derailed. Occasionally, we implement larger changes even to respond to our users' needs. We take learners' access and success very seriously. I can't believe I'm saying this, but reading has become something of a controversy. Yes, it actually came out of my mouth. On October 1st, The Atlantic came out with an article called "The Elite College Students Who Can't Read Books." In it, the author discusses the conversation instructors and professors are currently having about the trouble students are having because they arrive in their classrooms and they've never read a book from start to finish. We've had similar discussions in our offices about the complaints we receive about iPathways being too reading intensive, intimidating. But the research shows us that reading is still the #1 way to learn anything. We believe learning cannot happen just by dragging and dropping. Instruction, inspiration, vocabulary building, these all happen through the written word in an online environment. Whenever possible, and when it makes sense, we've also included audio recordings of reading selections or historical passages, since we understand that students are busy and that people learn in different ways. Going into the future, we plan on implementing more of this to combat that reading resistance and also accommodate all of the plates that our learners are spinning. Sometimes they have to listen to a lesson while they're driving to pick up their kids at daycare. We want to make sure that we have made that available to them. When I was teaching and I wanted my students to be exposed to reading, I would read aloud in the classroom when they were my captive hostages. And it was really gratifying to watch them surrender to the story. Later, when I began to learn how to teach online, I recorded my readings and then I tracked who had listened to them and how often. I discovered that many of my students listened to these multiple times, and some confessed to playing them for their children or their spouses. Like any reading zealot, I believe if someone doesn't like reading, they just haven't found the right material yet. We vary the lengths and types of passages that we have in all subjects, striving to appeal to all different tastes. Additionally, at the beginning of each lesson, we include a list of key terms with definitions, and in many cases, especially in the basic language arts and basic math, I've gone in and recorded those key terms so that they know how to pronounce those words as well, because that can make people feel intimidated to even ask a question if they don't know how to say the word. I don't want anything to stop them from navigating the text and have to find a dictionary or grow frustrated and just shut it down and stop. So here are some of the best reasons why we believe reading is important. It builds concentration. It boosts critical thinking, which we are desperately in need of these days. It fosters creativity and imagination. It helps develop empathy. It expands our vocabulary. It improves literacy skills, builds self-confidence, provides motivation, improves fluency and comprehension, reduces stress, strengthens family bonds, builds memory, increases knowledge, expands social skills, and so much more. That's just a start, and that list is wow. So until we disappear into the void, we will push back against there's too much reading. Education does challenge our comfort zone. It's supposed to. And this is one of the most significant ways we can achieve positive results. Contextualized instruction is especially crucial for the adult education student. Their lives are busy, complex, challenging, stressful, and the content of their learning needs to be relevant right now to justify the time and energy that they're spending on it when time is such a precious commodity. This guides the type of examples that we provide in all of our lessons. Calculating the interest on a car loan is more useful than figuring out two trains traveling at the same speed from these distances, when will they meet, okay? Reading a passage about being an immigrant adjusting to life in America is more relevant than a sonnet, even though I'm a big fan of sonnets. Understanding what's happening to the world as it relates to their lives is a key component of iPathways. And we want them to understand that climate change affects their lives. That's more important, perhaps, to their choices than it is to figure out how old a rock is. Because our curriculum is aligned with standards, but focused on the adult learner's needs and interests, our real-life examples should help with retention and will aid them in passing their GED. There could even be some cool educational synchronicity going on. The second major component of the ICAPS is content that contributes to workforce prep. iPathways has this element too. As part of the WIOA, we offer courses which assist in educating today's workforce in sectors such as consumer education, health literacy, life skills, digital literacy skills. We recognize productive citizens are more than just their jobs. Adult education students are navigating all aspects of their lives, including becoming savvy consumers, knowledgeable voters, and responsible employees and family members. These have the added benefit of being immediately useful without any kind of academic pressure. Let's look at some examples. Our life skills module, one of the free courses we offer on the iPathways homepage, covers such topics as soft skills, conflict resolution, securing employment, introduction to financial literacy, building blocks of geometry, which, you know, if you're a DIYer, that's helpful, foundations of measurement, and others. These units offer far-ranging content from the importance, excuse me, it's fall, so of course I've got from the importance of personal hygiene in the workplace to how to determine a career path, how to manage your money. These have been tailored to novice learners who may be unfamiliar with the expectations of family and work life in today's American society. And much of it also covers how different these expectations may be from other cultures. With today's skyrocketing numbers of English language learners from other countries, this is an important component in their future success. Employers can be assured that those who complete these training programs will have a better understanding of how to adapt to their surroundings. As mentioned previously, many of our students who would be considered ELL or English language learners have more to juggle than just course content. They're also adapting to our culture as well as navigating our economy, which is treacherous for those of us who are native born, and also all our other social systems. This course is designed to help them with this formidable task. Consumer education begins by taking learners through the process of deciding whether to pursue further education or looking for a career. Being an adult in America can be demanding, daunting, especially if you don't have the benefits of a good economics high school class, and often even if you do. I had one. I'm still managing to wiggle by. We go through taxes, filling out an I-9 form, deciding whether to rent or buy housing, determining a fiscally responsible mode of transportation, how to navigate that, investing choices, if that becomes an option, and encouraging people to think about the future in that way, becoming knowledgeable about consumer protection laws. We try to balance learning about one's responsibilities with also embracing and understanding our rights. While those who complete the course will not be qualified for an MBA, they will be exposed to key terms and concepts that immediately relate to their lives and their well-being, and they can make more informed choices, which should improve the quality of their daily lives. This digital literacy resources is a collection of free resources offered on our homepage. Right now, this is mostly a list of links that people can click to go find out more. We will be working in the future to actually develop this into a full-fledged course. I'm very excited about this because clicking on a link and making people who are not comfortable with digital literacy have to pretend like they have it originally is not ideal. The iPathways Guide to Digital Literacy will provide helpful tips in the areas of keyboarding, navigating and understanding the internet, finding employment resources, developing skills in word processing, spreadsheets, presentation software, even cybersecurity. As I said, in the near future, we plan to develop a full-fledged course as part of the Federal Digital Equity Plan. We cannot expect today's workers to thrive if they're not familiar with today's tools. Illinois employers value employees who can navigate technology with confidence. The free digital literacy resource page is just the beginning of how we meet that third component in a successful ICAPS program. Online learning is inevitable, despite the naysayers wanting to just slide back to the way things used to be pre-pandemic. We cannot ignore the insights that we stumbled across in 2020 to today. We know for certain that online learning solves many of the problems we know exist for that adult education student. It allows them access to our content at a time that's convenient for them within reason. It's more convenient for them because it's possible that they won't have to have childcare or transportation. It allows them to set their own schedules, again, within reason. It encourages us to craft materials that can be visited at any time and many times with minimal supervision under ideal circumstances. It also includes our learners in the digital literacy movement, which is so essential, and it will help them navigate future academic and work challenges. What online learning by itself does not do is address how scary online learning can be for our students. In my own experience, I've had students drop the class as soon as they found out that they were going to have to use the internet or they were going to have to type something and they couldn't turn in handwritten papers anymore. Perhaps you've had a similar experience. Perhaps there's a quiet, reasonable voice in the back of your head that says you should spend your time focusing on the subject matter and less time on the delivery method. I've heard that voice. I still hear it from time to time. This is why we exist. We implement universal design in all of our content. Universal design is defined as the design and composition of an environment so it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people, regardless of their age, size, ability, or disability. We also use adaptive design, which means the content adjusts for ease of use. So that if they're on a laptop, it looks one way. If they're on their phone, it scrolls so they can still see all content as it goes down instead of having to try to page around and find something. Theoretically, this should help your learners build their confidence and further their desire to participate in gaining their own digital equity. Haha, that's so, see, I'm a fast talker. ICAPS is here to stay, as is online learning. Here in Illinois, we're committed to educating our workforce to uplift them to the lives they envision. With iPathways as your partner for both the adult education portion and the individualized training modules, we look forward to seeing the numbers of satisfied, educated, and fulfilled learners rise. I would like to also point out that I plan on going around the state this year. I'd like to conduct some workshops on how ICAPS can, the needs of ICAPS programs can be served by implementing iPathways. So if you're part of a program that would like to have this training for your teachers or your administrators, please reach out to me at the email address that is given to you here. I would love to speak with you and figure out a good time that works for you and your people. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And please do reach out to me if you have questions or concerns or would just like to brainstorm, maybe bounce some ideas off of me. And I'd love to do the same with you. I gain a lot of inspiration and a lot of ideas from the people that I speak with throughout the state. And I'd love for you to be one of them. And I hope that this answers some of your questions about why you should be using iPathways in your ICAPS programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. We really appreciate it. I'm wondering, are there any questions about that anyone has for Nancy? And I'm also curious if anybody's already using iPathways in their ICAPS program or with their in any other way. Yes.
Don't be shy.
This way.
Kishwaukee College is one of our, I guess it's not ICAPS, it's more of the bridge programming. Our bridge to healthcare teacher is using the math modules to supplement what she has in the healthcare.
That's really great. As I said, there are resources available on the iPathways. Even if you don't go in and actually use the lessons themselves, there are handouts there with practice problems in just about every unit available. And those can be great practice for students in math because that drilling is still a great way to make sure that they're confident in the steps to solve problems.
Yeah, and math seems to be a sticking point for so many students.
It would be for me.
Yeah.
That part of my brain is grossly underdeveloped.
Julie, thank you so much for sharing what's happening at Kishwaukee. And Zach says they use iPathways with ICAPS, GD, and AMOC. Okay, great.
Right.
And
Any issues with it? If you're having problems, I would like to know about them because then I can go back and throw a little fit and say, fix this.
I do have a question, Nancy, and I don't know if you can answer that. Is iPathways still having difficulty with Yahoo email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that happens. They're working on it. We have these we are all on a chat group with whenever a ticket comes in or a question comes in, we can all see our help desk posts the question, posts the issue, so we can all see. And that is one that regularly comes up. And I know that Joe, our guru of all things, is working on figuring out how to resolve that. And in theory, in a week or so, we should have it taken care of.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Come on, think of something.
If it's okay, Nancy, this is Anita. I would love to point out that I use it in my regular GED prep class all the time.
Yay.
And one thing that might be beneficial to everybody if they're not as familiar is that under the resources in iPathways, there are a bunch of options like printable worksheets and
Yes.
graphic organizers, which often I will pull those graphic organizers up and grab one off of there to accompany a lesson, even if I'm not teaching out of iPathways. So if you haven't explored, you might not be aware that there are a lot of other things available in the resources section of iPathways that you might want to go
Exactly.
check out. Either if you're a classroom teacher or if you're a support staff who supports
Mhm.
teachers, you could share that information with your team and let them know that it's not just the lessons that students can use, it's a lot of resources that teachers can use.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
And when I've run across this talking to people, I encourage them to display the behavior that they want from their students, which is play around with the site. You know, hit some buttons. You're not going to destroy it. Go click on the links and see what's there so you can kind of map it out in your brain. It's a big old teacher's closet of stuff that everybody has a teacher's closet or the magic bag, that you have all your tricks in. And that's what iPathways can serve as, is your big old teacher's closet. So make sure you know what's in the closet. Go explore your closet and find out what's there that might prove to be useful for you.
And Nancy, there's another question in the chat from Zach. Do you have a guide for generating student reports?
I don't, but Brandon John he's our guy who does the webinars when people just join iPathways, and he can guide you. And he's bjohn@cait.org. And if I had access to the chat, I'd put it in there, but my interface is problematic today. So
You said it was
somebody
B. Johns.
bjohn@cait.org.
Okay, and
We're at the
Johns is,
Center for the Application of Information Technologies at Western Illinois
oh,
University.
it's, okay, take what Anita put and not what Sarah put, you guys, because yes. I was trying.
Most of the people that I work with at CATE or iPathways are all of the programmers and the people who make it look the way that it looks. I'm really the only educator there, so I defer all things technological to them because they know. Even though I teach online, they're the ones who make the magic happen.
And Nancy, I know because you're not able to see the chat, somebody put a typo they found in here, so I'm gonna send that to you.
Please do. Thank
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
You
Yeah, and
know,
there
there's
are
nothing better
still,
than-
when I first started a couple years ago, I went through everything, like all hundreds of pages, and found hundreds of typos or usage errors or missing commas. And as we go along, we're trying to clean those things up because I'm persnickety about it, but I have still missed some.
Well, there's
So,
nothing better than a group of teachers to get
oh, yeah,
everything
I'm
ship
so
shape.
grateful because it really does, it does not look good when we have mistakes.
Okay. And I'm wondering, for those of you who said that you are using iPathways in various ways, I loved Anita sharing a way that she's using it. Anybody else able to share about kind of how they're using it in their program?
I would.
Go right
Please.
ahead.
So I have been really excited because coming upon the AMOC method of graduating students, we have
Yes.
had a huge influx of diplomas because of iPathways and using that as the coursework to complete our
Fantastic.
graduates.
That's what it's for. Yeah. that AMOC is kind of reinventing the wheel a little bit. They are not reinventing the wheel, changing the landscape, I should say.
I- It's so encouraging, I am finding, to the student, because they feel like they don't have to start completely over when they have
Exactly.
done that 75% of high school. So I I have loved iPathways to get that curriculum complete.
That's phenomenal. I would also like to point out that we are launching our Team Teach component in November. It's already all set. They're just getting the last of the little bugs out of it. So for those of you, sorry, again, fall. They are launching it in November, and if you're team teaching with somebody, you're either teaching the same course together or you're teaching companion courses. This is a great way for students to recognize first that they're accountable to both instructors or all three instructors, but also to look at that whole student instead of just I don't like the learning in a silo. Oh, we're just doing math now. We're just doing language arts now. And seeing that connectivity between things is important for students and instructors as well. And I think the team teaching element that we're adding kind of leans into that.
Wonderful. And I'm also seeing other people saying that they're using iPathways in their GED HSE program. I'm
Excellent.
wondering if any of you who are doing ICAPS, because obviously you chose this session thinking about, okay, what's the combo between iPathways and ICAPS? If you are using an ICAPS, or if you're not, was there something that you saw today in Nancy's presentation that you're thinking, oh, here's something that this is a way that I could incorporate iPathways into my ICAPS?
While they're typing, I'm going to speak to that for a second because as I was preparing this, it occurred to me that there are things that I want to teach and I want to talk about, and I feel like I've got a good grasp and I can wade through all of the stuff that gets in the way and teach it. And there are some things that I wouldn't mind somebody else teaching because either it's just a matter of going through the material, or it's something that I think that it would be just as easy for them to spend a little bit of time sitting in front of a screen, reading the content and going through and mastering it, rather than me doing my dance and doing all those kinds of things. And that's how I would use it in an ICAPS program, is that I would pick and choose which lessons I think they can probably navigate this on their own and it'll help build their confidence. This one I want to do myself. I would probably pick and choose kind of a la carte which ones make sense given what you feel comfortable taking control of and what you wouldn't mind relinquishing a little bit so that they can build that digital comfort.
Nancy, and if I could just build on that, and yeah, okay, hold on. I want to see, I'd rather have somebody else talk than me. So, Jennifer, do you want to tell us a little bit about iPathways in your support course? I'm putting you on the spot, so feel free to say, no, Sarah, I do not want to say anything more than what I've already put in the chat. Oh, it won't let you unmute. That's crazy.
See, I was having that trouble earlier too.
Okay. Nobody tells Jennifer that she can't talk. That's not acceptable.
Nobody puts Jennifer in the corner.
That's right. That's right. I am going to try now, Jennifer. See if you can.
Oh, she's a co-host now.
Okay. If it lets you unmute at some point, Jennifer, please do. Because I love hearing that you are using it in your support course and with their CTE bridge. It allows students to have flexibility and allows us to meet students where their deficits are. And I think that's very cool because in a support course, oftentimes people are working on different content you're going to be supporting what's going on in that ICAPS training, but you're also trying to make sure that you're getting the basic skills instruction completed as well, so that it's great to be able to say, okay, as Nancy said, here, you go work on this. Here's a place
Yes.
that you can review that.
Mhm.
So thanks, Jennifer, for sharing that. That's awesome.
The other thing that I would say too, because again, I have this, you know, poor math brain. If I had splinters put underneath my fingernails and I had to teach math, one of the things I would have my students do is I would go to a unit that we have called reading in the content areas and make my students do the math portion of that, because it's at a lower NRS level and it's helping students learn how to read math problems. What are they asking for? You know, and if you've been away from math, if our learners have been away from math for a long time, it can really help to reset and go back all the way to the beginning. Wait, what is quotient again? What is the ratio? What's the denominator? I forgot. It's been 15 years since I took this class. Or, you know, in my country, we called it something else. So that reading in the content areas can really also help students get to the place where they can be more successful in the courses that are a little further along in the continuum.
I was able to be unmuted. And yeah, I
Yay!
completely agree, Nancy. I would say one thing too is in the support course, it allows us to just really focus on one, supporting them in the content, and also focusing on work place skills, those essential skills. And then online, you know, independently, they can focus on specific deficits that they have in social studies, science, whichever tests they're trying to pass, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
those resources, I've been using those quite a bit lately, especially with social studies, because sometimes students are still not passing the exam in social studies, but I've been using the resources, and that actually helped fill the gap, and the student just passed.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to say thank you for
Yay!
those resources also.
That I'm not surprised, looking at the state of our nation, that students are not passing social studies right now, but that's just that's all the political commentary I'll have. But yes, that the other thing, and I hinted at it in my presentation, that uh, having online learning allows students to go over something as many times as they need to. They don't have to be embarrassed. They don't have to come up at the end of the class and say, could you repeat that, or ask silly questions, or what they consider to be silly questions in front of their students, and feel embarrassed because they didn't get it the first time, or they didn't take notes fast enough because their language skills are not where they'd like them to be. And having it so that they can just repeat it, read it at their own speed, take it at their own speed, do it as many times as they want to until they're comfortable with the content. That's kind of life-changing.
Nancy, this is Anita again. I was just thinking when you mentioned a minute ago about the reading in the content area, there
Mhm.
may be some people out here in our group today that aren't aware that there are some lower level materials, things that are appropriate, not just for like the 9th grade readers and up. So
Right.
maybe if you just want to detail kind of what's out there and who the target audience is, that might help some of our folks.
Yes. So the reading through the content areas whole unit, it's and I can't, I'll open up my screen, but I don't think you get to see it. So I'll just go open it myself and walk you through it. Da, 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 da. Um, Pathways. So the reading in the content areas is NRS 2 and 3. And it was actually Kathy who wrote that. And I'm forever trying to achieve her level of greatness. And I know that I will always be lagging behind. But it's hard to get around the video box here. Okay, so you go into iPathways, you go under resources, and you go to view course content. And you'll see if you scroll down, there's reading in the content areas. And this is a great way to introduce new learners or learners who are not to testing level or not to, they're not prepared quite yet for regular coursework, to teach them how to navigate coursework. And it's written in terms that are easy to understand. There are key term lists again, and we've recorded them so they can know how the words are pronounced. We've got social studies and science and math. And under each of these, they break down different kind of contents. You've got introduction and vocabulary content. You've got learning checks, so they can learn about how iPathways is set up, what they need to go through. I've got informational texts, narrative texts, how to tell the difference, understanding images that are used, like in newspapers or political cartoons, what the images are supposed to mean, how to interpret them, and then real world application for each one of these. So that was social studies. Hold on, let me scroll down to science. Under science, we have, of course, introduction, vocabulary, graphic organizers. We have, we go through them, what they are used best for, understanding ideas, scientific ideas, and there are sample, oh, she's opening it for me. Bless your heart, Anita. Real world applications. So there are like science articles, and then they take you through how to read them, how to pull out the key concepts, how to figure out what they're trying to say. And then in math, you're a goddess, Anita. You've got introduction, vocabulary development, graphic organizers, think alouds. So we're teaching them how to approach academic work in a way that makes sense at a level that actually functions for them. And then we want them to apply their knowledge. So we're putting those steps in place for learning how to be a critical thinker. So if you haven't taken a look at that yet, that is really worth exploring. And again, all of those lessons have the standards listed after each of the lessons. So it's really useful too. So you know, oh yes, this one meets these standards. And she's walking you through it. There they are. And they're beautiful. They're so pretty.
Julie, you put a comment in the chat that I would love if you're willing to make out loud so that it's on the recording if somebody listens to this, because all of these sessions are recorded and are going to be posted. I think it would be helpful for people to hear. Are you willing to unmute and share?
Sure. The thing that we do when I'm the GED manager person through Pearson View. And so when a student takes a ready test, I look at their score, see if they've passed or not. If they don't get the 145, that gives them the green to go ahead and take their official GED test. I will go in and, sorry, my phone is, I forgot to turn it off. I will go in and print off their score report for them, and I will link it directly to iPathways. That way they can go right in and look at, it'll list exactly which lessons they need to review in order to boost their scores.
Yes.
And it usually the second time they take, if they take advantage of it and review those lessons and then take the ready test again in a couple of weeks, they usually pass it on the second try. And then they go on to the official test. I will also, in addition to iPathways, we use Stuck Vaughn as our in-class curriculum. I will also send the Stuck Vaughn version of the score report as well. But I would say 90% of our students will go on to iPathways rather than go through the book.
Yeah. Because they can carry it around with them in their phone if they want to. It's just more portable. It's what I would do if I were in those shoes.
Yeah.
Because anytime you're sitting waiting to see the doctor, waiting to pick up your kid, you can go through a lesson. You can read it, you can listen to it, and you can make progress.
Julie, thanks for sharing. Anita, thanks for sharing your screen so that
I am very appreciative.
Sure.
Yes.
No problem.
We have just a few minutes left. Does anyone have any additional questions or comments?
Oh, Anita, would you show them the worksheets? You see, there are many, many, many there. Depending on what what the students have discovered, are there areas of challenge that you can really find something that targets that and again, builds those skills.
Anita, there's another spot too, because I think that spot wasn't showing the social studies ones. I think there's oh man. I think, are you in the maybe in the worksheets? Were you in the worksheets?
Yes, I was just in the worksheets. There are also
Go
print-friendly
to,
lessons.
maybe
Print
that's,
lessons, yeah.
yeah, maybe that's those, because I had to kind of dig, no, that's not it. I had to dig for those social studies ones.
There are also study guides. Those are helpful too.
Yeah, click on that. Let's see what that is. Is that the lesson, like the full lesson? No, it kind of.
This is supplemental material. It looks
Yeah,
like
I'll
that goes
find it.
with.
You had to
Mhm.
dig around a little bit for the social studies ones. Because the social studies ones didn't come up on the worksheets, right?
They're under hold on, study guides, yeah.
And also I did want to point out too, because we were having a lot of problems with Yahoo and I was always having to call iPathways. But I finally had my students start looking in their spam and trash and
Yes.
in the spam, and that's where those resets were. So if
Yeah,
you
if they
have
don't use
students,
them within a certain, we've expanded it to, I think, 24 hours now, but at first it was 1 hour. If they don't reset with that particular reset within an hour, it would just,
Right.
oops, nope, you weren't serious about it. But I think they've just recently discovered that that was such a big problem and expanded it to 24 hours. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff here. And again, it's a la carte. You can pick what works for you and your students and leave the rest. It's so that you still maintain that ownership of what your course looks like.
yeah, Anita was under the print friendly ones. Those were really nice. And these my students really enjoyed. I had a few students that really just needed more help in social studies and I gave them these and it really helped. And the next 2 weeks later, they passed the social studies. So
I love to hear that. That's great.
yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And so I was just going to show them that digital literacy resource
Yes,
list.
thank you.
You mentioned it, and
And
there
the
it
life
is.
skills too. There's life skills and there's the digital literacy resources.
There are the life
Mhm.
skills.
See, and it's broken down into little bite-sized pieces so that nothing is too like, oh God, this is 54 pages. I'm gonna, oh. It's really manageable and pretty basic, but also useful.
Right.
So if you have not explored these things for yourself, take a look and see, prowl around again, take those risks with your mouse and prowl around so that you can recommend them to people who might actually benefit from them.
Thanks for sharing these extra resources with us, Nancy, because this is, I didn't know the digital literacy ones were here, so this is great.
Yep.
Yeah, let me add my thanks also, Nancy, and I thank all of you that shared. That was
Yes.
awesome to hear what you're doing at your programs. You
I
probably
love to hear
put
those
Jennifer
stories.
on the payroll
Yeah.
to like write some testimonials for you, Nancy.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But yes, Danielle and Zach, Julie, Jennifer, thank you, all of you for sharing. And Nancy, we thank you very much for this tremendous resource and for sharing today. And
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me.